You know the feeling. You're scrolling through listings at 2 a.m., calculating payments on cars you can't afford, convincing yourself that the next purchase will be the one that finally satisfies whatever it is you're searching for, the one that makes you stop looking, stop wanting, stop feeling like something's missing. You tell yourself it's about finding the perfect car, but deep down, you know it's not really about the car at all. It's about the hunt, the research, the fantasy of what life will be like when you finally get behind the wheel of that specific machine. And the problem is, the moment you sign the papers, the moment it becomes yours, the magic starts to fade. Because buying a car doesn't scratch the itch. It just moves it to the next car. Chapter 1. The dopamine of the hunt. The real high isn't ownership. It's anticipation. It's the hours spent researching specs, reading reviews, watching YouTube videos of cars you're considering. It's the fantasy of how that car will change your life, solve your problems, make you feel complete. You create elaborate scenarios in your head. How you'll look pulling into the office parking lot, the weekend drives you'll take, the way your friends will react when they see it. You imagine yourself as the kind of person who drives that particular car, and for a moment, you believe you can become that person simply by making the purchase. The anticipation builds as you narrow down your choices. You start following specific listings, checking for price drops, calculating trade-in values. You visit dealerships and pretend you're just browsing, but really you're feeding the fantasy. You sit in the driver's seat and imagine owning it. You take test drives and convince yourself this is research, not self-torture. This phase can last months, and it's intoxicating. Every day brings new possibilities, new discoveries, new reasons to keep searching. The perfect car is always just one more listing away, one more test drive away, one more weekend of hunting away. But the moment you buy it, something changes. The hunt is over. The fantasy collapses into reality. And reality, no matter how nice, is never quite as perfect as the dream. Chapter 2. The inevitable disappointment. It starts small. Maybe the seats aren't quite as comfortable as you remembered from the test drive. Maybe the infotainment system is more frustrating than you expected. Maybe it's not as fast as the YouTube videos made it seem, or not as practical as the reviews promised. These aren't necessarily flaws in the car. They're just the difference between imagination and reality, between the perfect version that existed in your head and the actual machine sitting in your driveway. You try to recapture the excitement. You detail it obsessively. You take photos from every angle. You post about it on social media, hoping the validation will bring back that new car feeling. But something's missing. The magic you felt when you were hunting for it, researching it, fantasizing about it. The car hasn't changed. You have. It's no longer a possibility. It's no longer potential energy. It's kinetic energy now, and kinetic energy always feels less exciting than potential. You start noticing other cars you didn't consider before, cars that seem more interesting, more special, more perfect than the one sitting in your garage. The itch returns, stronger than before, because now you know what it feels like to scratch it temporarily. Chapter 3. The cycle continues. So you start browsing again, just casually, you tell yourself, just to see what's out there. You're not actually shopping. You're just staying informed about the market. You're just curious about what's available. But the hunt has begun again. And this time, you know what you're really chasing. Not the perfect car, but the perfect feeling. The feeling of possibility, of anticipation, of being on the verge of something transformative. You convince yourself the last car was a mistake. You learned from it. Now you know what you really want. This time will be different. This time you'll find the one that actually satisfies the itch instead of just temporarily numbing it. The pattern repeats. Research, fantasy, anticipation, purchase, brief satisfaction, disappointment, repeat. Each car promises to be the last car you'll ever need. Each one fails to live up to that promise, not because it's inadequate, but because the promise itself was impossible to fulfill. You become a serial car buyer, always trading, always upgrading, always chasing the next high. Your garage becomes a revolving door of machines, each one bought with the sincere belief that this time will be different. Chapter 4. What you're really chasing. Here's the truth you don't want to admit. You're not chasing cars, you're chasing feelings. The feeling of newness, of possibility, of being on the verge of something better. The feeling that your life is about to change, that you're about to become the person you've always wanted to be. Cars become proxies for transformation. You think buying the right car will make you more confident, more successful, more attractive, more interesting, and for a brief moment after purchase, it does. Not because the car actually changes you, but because you believe it will. But cars can't sustain that feeling. They can't continuously provide the high of newness, of possibility, of transformation. They become familiar. They become normal. They become just another thing you own, instead of something that defines who you are. The itch you're trying to scratch isn't about automotive inadequacy. It's about existential inadequacy. The feeling that something's missing, that you're not quite complete, that the right purchase will finally make you whole. And that's why buying a car will never scratch it, because the itch isn't really about cars at all. Chapter 5. The Alternative. So what's the solution? Stop buying cars? Accept that you'll never be satisfied? Give up the hunt entirely? Maybe. Or maybe there's a different way to scratch the itch. Instead of chasing the high of acquisition, chase the high of experience. Instead of focusing on owning the perfect car, focus on perfectly experiencing the cars you have. Take the car you own right now and really drive it. Not just to work and back, but on roads that matter, at speeds that matter, in ways that remind you why you fell in love with cars in the first place. Push it to its limits, learn its language, understand its character. The itch you're trying to scratch might not be about ownership at all. It might be about connection, about finding that perfect moment when you and a machine become one thing moving through space. About the conversation between human and machine that happens when you're really, truly driving. That feeling doesn't require the newest car or the rarest car or the most expensive car. It requires presence, attention, the willingness to engage with what you have instead of constantly yearning for what you don't. Maybe the perfect car isn't the next one you buy. Maybe it's the one sitting in your driveway right now, waiting for you to stop shopping and start driving. Waiting for you to realize that the itch you're trying to scratch isn't about acquisition. It's about experience. And experience can't be bought, it can only be lived. Stop buying cars. Start driving them. The itch you've been trying to scratch might finally quiet down. Not because you found the perfect car, but because you found the perfect way to be with whatever car you have. That's the only way the hunt ever really ends. Not with the right purchase, but with the right perspective.